Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah.
Um, that was impressive, Nix. I want to let your agents know how lucky they are to have such a great support team on both sides of that. Promotions that y'all are doing, camaraderie that y'all are building. I think that is tremendous and very important, especially in this day and age when we got so much going on, and to be around positive people is huge. So I appreciate the opportunity to share with you guys. As I mentioned, I was an agency owner for a little over 15 years, and been over in this role for a couple years now. Really enjoying it. There's it's a different day to day if those that's been on the agency side. Um, but it's all about the team. I mean, even in this role, it's all about our team and our agents and their staff. And it was the same way with our agency. Want to talk a little bit about a couple of sales ideas. If anybody that knows me, I'm a very simple-minded human being. Don't try to overcomplicate it because I'm not smart enough. So we try to keep things as simple as possible. I'm going to give you three ideas today, and then I'll introduce Chad, and you definitely want to hear him because he's going to work on the mind a lot. And that is the number one thing that we can control on the daily basis. So, of course, quote live with every PNC opportunity, conversions, replacements. I saw a couple of things, promos that those are included. Show you where to find that if you don't know. 3 questions to ask for every problem solved. This was huge for me as an agency owner. It's been a big deal for us as a district. Is scheduling your day out, make it a part of your activities. 30 minutes a day per person is kind of what we set aside. Have a couple of uncomfortable conversations. I know Jack Jameson toured this entire country several years in a row. That was his term. He may have done 5, but we used 2, and it's not backing the hearse up to the front door. It's more along the lines of saying, "Hey, by the way, your mortgage is who's going to pay off your mortgage if something happens to you?" So that's an uncomfortable conversation. And then that last little topic, there's a lot of money to be made in life insurance. And when I was an agency owner, the first 4 or 5 years I was an agency owner, I was lucky enough to have about 400 policies after 5 years. If you can do the math, our premiums are high in Oklahoma, but they're not that high. I was making about $2,000 or $3,000 a month, and I knew I had to make a change, but I didn't have the money to do it. So fortunately enough, my DM talked to me about life insurance and started showing me how much money was in it. And for the next 3 to 4 years, we sold a lot of life insurance. And we were able to use that money to hire staff to grow our book of business. So we're going to get into that a little bit, but I wanted to kind of set the tone of what I would be talking about, and then we'll introduce Chad. So, quote with every PNC. I've got a new agent. She's been here right at 2 years next month. She quotes about 45 a day, and she emails and texts this little form out to everybody. It works for her. She sold 45 life apps last year just by this concept. Would I change some things? Yeah, but it works for her. So again, every single quote that she does, PNC wise, she includes this form, and she sold 45 from it last year. Another thing that we use in the agency, and I was telling Robin a while ago, I just discovered this morning. So if you've seen this, my apologies. But there's a new link that says pick your play. Click on it. Let me refresh it real quick. But there's a form in here that I used as an agency owner that contributed to probably 15 life policies a year. It's called this mortgage and life email. We would actually mail it, but let me click on it real quick. It's phenomenal. Hopefully you can see that. Give me a thumbs up if you can see that.
It's
still downloading.
It's getting there. Okay. Let's see here. Is it working
The
now?
suspense is killing me, John.
All right, we got it. We
There
good?
it is.
Okay. So we would use this and mail it out. You can email it out, but it's a simple daily activity task that you can use that will generate a conversation. So this was a mortgage payoff, list 3 options. We would just mail that to every homeowner and talk about it. So one of my team members in my office her goal was to mail 2 of those a day. Simple enough. and then would follow with the phone call 3 days later. So again, I can't talk about it enough. It's just part of your daily work, daily activities. Let's go back here. All right, moving on. So the next thing is the conversion replacements. On average, I think the average agency owner has at least 200 policies that are in force for life insurance policies. So back last year, before when we realized that PNC was not going to be our bread and butter to 2023, we try to find ways to recoup some of that money. And conversions and replacements is where we win. This is you can go to your active policies, pull it up, and what I did with each agency owner is I found low-hanging fruit for them. I'm sure the district support staff can show you where to find these lists if you haven't already. But we highlighted terms that were about to expire. And this particular example, Bill Robinson, Brent Hendershot, and Joseph Hobbs, I challenged one of my agency owners to just make those 3 phone calls and report back to me. And the only thing he said was this: "Hey, Bill, I didn't write this policy almost 20 years ago. I need to check your beneficiary, and I need to make sure that this is still enough. It's expiring next year. We got to do something about it." He made 3 phone calls and made $3,500. That quick, that easy, and replaced a lot of his income that he's been losing from the PNC new business side. So we did that with every agency owner, and I challenged them all to make 1 to 2 phone calls a day just to check the beneficiary, just to make sure the face amount's right. So there is a ton of opportunity there if you'll just utilize it. And as you're probably familiar with, those that have life insurance believe in life insurance. So you're not having to sell the concept. They believe in the concept. But 9 times out of 10, their coverages have changed, their needs have changed, their budgets have changed. And it's our job to make sure that we're doing that and keeping them current. All right, so this is that 3 questions. Robin's going to have the slideshow so she can send this out, do whatever. This is not rocket science. This is a very easy solution. When we solve our clients' problems, they are somewhat in a good mood. I think everybody would agree with me. And they're more likely to answer a couple quick questions after we do solve a problem. So let's say you got a bill question. Hey, I'm going to call you back this afternoon with a solution. Hey, here's what we did. Here's what we did. Oh, thank you so much. Hey, by the way, while I got you on here, is this the correct email address? Yes or no? Correct it. Cell phone? Yes or no? I notice you have a life policy with this, but it's over 10 years old. When's the last time you reviewed that? Do you know who your beneficiary is? Is 100,000 still enough? Whatever they say, can you afford another $50 to increase that? Because I know you bought a new home. Or if they don't have life insurance with you, say, okay, can you afford $50 a month? If they say yes, set the appointment and go on. If they say no, can you do 40? Can you do 30? I mean, that's part of our job. And so we challenged every staff member in our district to try to fill out one of those a day. Again, keeping it simple, some type of activity to get some things moving. Fair enough? Okay. I'm going to call y'all Nicks because it's easier. Zoom calls are hard. I can't feel the room. I can't see the nod of the heads. So, I'm like, okay, where's the interaction? But we'll get through it. I'm not going to touch real big on this because this is a lot of what Chad's going to talk about. But I'll say this. As a whole, the majority of people think too small. I'll use myself for example. I mentioned my first 5 years of an agency ownership. My DM came in and said, "What do you want in life?" And I said, "If I can make $6,000 a month, I'll never need for anything," because my parents were school teachers, and that's what they made total. So, and I never did without, so I thought that was a good number. And he said, "You think too small." And I said, "Well, 10,000." He goes, "You can make 10,000 next month." And I said, "There's no way." And he said, "Let me prove it to you." And he showed me how to do that. That is the majority of us. When Chad goes over his numbers and hearing some of those numbers that y'all talked about earlier, y'all have seen this too, but it's obtainable. It's there for us. He's going to talk a little bit about simple acts. Kind of goes back to our daily activities. As an agency owner, I never tracked sales. Sales puts too much pressure on an individual. but I will track 5 quotes a day, 2 uncomfortable conversations, making sure we thank everybody for their business, making sure we try to get 1 X-date commercial. I track daily activities because I know if we do that, the numbers will come because it's just a numbers game. And I think a lot of the people on the call would agree with me that. I talk about changing people. Just that 3-question form that I mentioned on that previous slide. If you go to your team and say, hey, I need you to fill out 1 of these a day, and they refuse it. Sometimes we can't change people, we change people. And I think everybody's understanding what I mean by that. Life insurance is a mindset change. It's not hard. The things that we've talked about today earlier is just activity-based to get you somebody in front of you. It's very hard to be a negative person, a negative insurance agent if you sell life consistently. It's just, I don't know of anybody. You're selling life insurance weekly, it's hard to get down. So it's all about the mind. Without naming names, but this market's been challenging. Sounds like Minnesota's been going through what Oklahoma's been going through. The world's changed. And a lot of times we find ourselves on the right-hand side playing the victim. Oh, poor me, being Eeyore. But all that is out of our control. Would y'all agree? We control our attitude and effort. If we can control our attitude and effort every single day, the results will come. So my challenge to you, besides doing something daily to drive revenue for life insurance, is to just erase that right side, erase that victim mentality. Let's focus on solutions. Let's focus on staying positive. Let's focus on making sure we accomplish our daily task every day. I assure you, if we focus on that avenue, the results are going to come. So let me introduce Chad to you. I did not put my contact information, but please reach out. I'm welcome to field any calls. Let me talk about Chad. FTA in 97. I think you were 19 when your dad put you on. Is that right, Chad? 97. That means
I was 22. I was 22.
22. Okay.
Born in 75.
Okay. Well, his dad was a district manager, put him on, threw him to the fire. I think you got licensed and appointed the same day that you took over a small agency in Weatherford, Oklahoma. Since then, 4 championships, 13 toppers. I think it's 14 now that for this year, so that's off. In the hardest market that I've ever seen in 16 years, Chad's been doing this 23 years, I guess. He would agree, hardest market we've ever seen. He's been able to grow his agency 463 in premium. In 2023 alone, 57 issued and paid for 91,415. I think he only had 2 IULs in there, maybe none. I don't know, but they were very small. So he did all of this with term policies, and he's going to show you how and why. His life commissions with the bonuses right at 60,000, a little over. Paid him about 67% on the premium. I don't know another product we sell that pays that much commissions, but again, he saw it back in October, and he'll talk to you about this a little bit. He knew he had to change his agency. He knew he had to focus on different avenues, and he made that commitment. And without saying anything else, I'm going to quit sharing my screen, let him talk, and appreciate the opportunity. And take it away, Chad.
Okay. My first thought is I want to ask Robin, because I think John's got to go. Who's going to have my video?
I have your video.
Devin has it.
Okay. All right. So before we have the video, I just want to say I'm very honored to be invited to talk today to the 2 districts. The biggest problem I have on Zoom is I get so close to it because you know how I'll approach. I'm going to struggle. I'm going to stay back and try not to holler so you can see me, because I'll end up with my face up there touching that camera. Anyway, I have been through a lot. A lot of you don't know because you're from Minnesota. My daddy was a district manager and he passed away in December of 2020. And so when your dad's your boss, and I've never really had another job, and then all of a sudden he's gone, things look a little different on a daily basis. So part of this is becoming my own person by myself without daddy here. So that as I learned about how to handle myself emotionally and how to fix my mind, I learned a lot of things that made me successful in other areas. Does that make sense? And I was truly rooted in a positive attitude. Mama she had a book she read for a devotional when we were kids, and she would call it negative confessions. And it's a Christian approach to you don't verbalize things that are negative, okay? Because your body believes what you tell it, right? And so if you never verbalize those things, you never say today's a bad day, you never give any evidence that something's going wrong, because what happens, you'll start believing it and you're headed in the wrong direction. Does that make sense? So when I was 12 years old, I'd get in trouble for what Mama called negative confessions, because she had read a book, a devotional book, that said it is very healthy for you to stay away from it. So with all that being said, we're going to show a video. I've got my youngest graduated from Texas, or graduated from Weatherford High School, and he's going to get to judge for livestock on a full ride scholarship to Texas Tech. And through his discovery and following this university, he came in contact with their football coach, Joey McGuire, and the Texas Tech football team has these hype videos. And one morning last December, we showed cattle, and from winter solstice on, you've got to put your calves in the barn before the sun comes up. You take them out after the sun goes down. We meet in the kitchen at 5:30 in the morning, and I think it was about 116 days that we had to do that before the show. So for 116 days, I got an 18-year-old in the kitchen with this playing as loud as it can play, obviously waking his mother up as well. But this is how we started our day when we had our journey of showing our last show kit. So go ahead, sir.
Here we go. Great question, and you don't have to know the answer, okay? But I'm going to tell you, if you go back to the first fourth quarter we had in off season, we go outside and it's about 34 degrees. And I said, what we've got to figure out as this team, after that very first time we went through the fourth quarter, is there's a battle that we have to win. Does anybody know what that battle is? Say it, Miles.
Between my ears.
Between your ears. The battle is between your ears. Because I'm telling you right now, you are physically tough enough to go win this game. But are you mentally tough enough as an individual and as a team to win this game? The battle is between your ears. Every day, in everything you do, the battle's between your ears. Am I mentally tough enough to be the brand today? Am I mentally tough enough to truly be the player coach and go that I will play with Red Raider speed and violence? Am I mentally tough enough? The battle is between your ears. The battle's between their ears. Take them somewhere they've never been, and they will lose that battle. Put your foot in the tire and freaking go to work. Is everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Hey, let's go win us a game.
Yes, sir.
Do your job. That's enough. Do your job. That's enough.
Nice. Good one.
Very nice. Loved it.
So obviously there's a lot of takeaways that don't have to be illustrated with a chalkboard and a big picture. You know what I'm saying? When he says every day in everything you do, the battles between your ears. If you don't feel conviction in your heart at that point, then you're not striving to be successful. Does that make sense? I mean, you are not digging deep inside of yourself to be better, because when it's okay, so the guy from Clemson that's the coach makes a statement that Grady talks about all the time that says champions are made when the band ain't playing and the cheerleaders ain't cheering, right? There's a lot of things that go on. And when you're in the sales position, that's in your head, that's in your heart. You have to be prepared emotionally and mentally to go do battle. And the thing about it is, you have to make decisions every day based off of that. Well, this is 14 months ago, 15 months ago, when I told John, hey, we got trouble coming with this rate. We're going to take about 80% the next year and a half. And that's real numbers. New business going to be hard to write, and your friends are going to be mad at you, and you're going to have some bad days. And Daddy always said there's no way that you will feel better until you go sell something. If I called my district manager, who was my father, and I complained about something the company was doing, when I got done running my mouth, he said, son, if you'll go sell a life policy, you'll feel better. And did you know that actually is true? And I'm going to tell you, psychologically, I'm going to have concrete proof that what he used to tell me is true, right? So let's back up here. I had a customer that gets a pickup stolen. We're arguing over the value of the pickup. It's October of 22, okay? John gets involved because I struggle with arguing with adjusters because I want my way and I don't take no for an answer, and they end up not being my friend at the conclusion of our interaction. Does that make sense? So I get John involved because he's going to be nice to him. Through the course of doing this study on this guy, some background, he goes, hey, this guy, your friend, yeah, hey, he's got a 5-year term, 9 years old. He's paying $500-something a month. This guy got cancer. I'm like, no. He said, won't you rewrite this guy a policy and save him some money if he's your buddy? So I go in there and rewrite it. It's $300 a month. I look on my life commissions. They paid me the commission. What happened? Because used to rewriting those terms that you wrote didn't pay nothing, did they? Well, look here what I found. Robin will love this because she's a detailed person. I've never met her, but I have been in her email string for 2 weeks now. Robin does not play, okay? So Robin, write this down. It is Breaking News Bulletin 22-0378. What does the subject line say? It says discontinuation of replacement chargeback after the level period. What does that mean? It means that if you rewrite an 11-year-old 10-year term, you get paid again. I took them to the woodshed once I figured this is the cash cow. Okay. Every time that so look here, I get this figured out. So this is my war sheet. This is my policy list. Okay. Robin, you take them to the LifeNet page on the top right. You go up there and find policy list, get it on there, hit it by date, arrange it by date, print it off. Why? Because you go back 11 years and look at the 10-year terms. You go back 23 years and look at the 20-year terms. You're going to get to sell so many policies, and all you're doing is the job that you actually should have been doing, which is reviewing these life policies, right? So somehow that's the last thing I usually talk about. Somehow we ended up that being the first thing I talk about. So let's do this like one of them weird movies. Now we'll go back to the front. Okay. All right. Here's a book. Can y'all see this? How full is your bucket? What this book describes is, and it's a little bitty book. Write that down. How full is your bucket? $9, Amazon. Tom Rath is the author. How full is your bucket? What it does is it talks about that there's an imaginary bucket and a dipper inside of each person. If you dip out of somebody else's bucket, it dips out of yours. If you add to somebody else's bucket, it adds to yours. Okay. I don't know the gentleman that's on my screen. He's wearing a 3-piece suit. His vest is buttoned up all the way. He looks incredible. Look at his hairdo. He's got it slicked. It's high and tight. Highly groomed. Do you see what I'm saying? I've never met Robin. I don't even know which one of the three over here she is, but I know she's an incredibly talented human being. And she is great at her job. She cares about her job. You see what I'm saying? Now, what just happened? I filled both of your buckets up. I dipped into your bucket. The inverse is true for me. It makes me feel better. It fills my bucket. So if you are being denied positive interaction and you are feeling like that negativity is overwhelming you, how's the best way to fix that? You go find you somebody and love on them, right? You can do it selling insurance. You can do it standing out there. You can do it getting a cup of coffee. You don't have to be a missionary in Africa to be nice to somebody, do you? And what it does is you're going to get to the point where you know it's a phenomenon that happens. You're going to seek out those moments because you constantly need to be pouring into yourself. And here's how we know that to be true. When we go back in this book and they talk about concentration camps and prisoner of war camps, there was one that was far more deadly than any other. The mortality rate was higher than any other. But yet when they looked at it, it was the least violent. So how can we kill people and not even lay a hand on them? What they would do is these North Koreans would put these guys in isolation in these bamboo huts, and they would give them rewards for saying negative things about the United States. You want a cigarette? You denounce the United States. Okay, so they rewarded these negative confessions, as Mama would call it, and then they made up letters that would say, it looked like it was from your wife, and it would say, hey, we're sorry, you're never coming home. If this reaches you, we just wanted you to understand that I've taken another husband, that he's adopted the children. We've moved on with our lives, and we just wanted you to know. Okay, there's a series of things that these people did with what they were doing. They were subjecting them to negativity, removing the hope from inside of them, and they would go out there and those people would just be dead. When you constantly inject that negativity into the human spirit, it is actually physically, I don't want to say the word damning, but it really is, it's deadly, right? Well, if we know that that's the effect and you read the book and you continue on, there's lots of other phenomenons that go back to positive or negative inputs. Well, I've read that book 20 years ago. Bert Baggett III spoke in Oklahoma City one time. He told us 2 books to buy. That was one of it. The other one I'll refer to today's right here. It's called The Slight Edge. The author is Olson. It's the most transforming book that you'll ever read. Once you read the other one and you understand how to simply modify your emotions, then you can learn how to do the thing that you need to do to be successful. Okay. Now listen, you have to, with the situation we're in. So I go back in the October of 22, I get this discovery from this breaking news bulletin. I figure out that we have a cash cow here in front of us. I've been very lucky. In 1999, I wrote 73 universal life policies. My daddy made him proud for me to sell life insurance, so I sold a lot of it. We used to have little side bets, Joe Bell and Chad Fulton, and I used to could beat that Fulton like a drum, but that Joe Bell was tougher than a rented mule. I'm telling you, you could write 79, he'd write 84. Okay? God rest his soul. He was good at it. Now, I have a big pile of these policies because I've written a lot. And I know there's people that are listening to me that don't have 200, 300, 400 life policies to go source. The same thing is true if you'll take, where's my yellow sheet? Here it is. If you take your yellow sheet of paper, and the reason I do this, yellow is different than all the rest of the colors. Yellow means we're going to sell something at my place, right? Nobody grabs my yellow pad. They don't accidentally get my yellow pad, right? So just look here. Here's a little hot list. See how that's lined up there? I just sit down, and as it comes on me during the day or at times, I write somebody's name down. Okay? I will contact them. I do my calling between 8:30 and 10. You know why? Nobody screwed my day up yet. Okay? Do you know how much better I am at my job when I get to them before they get to me, I play offense instead of defense. It's hard to pick up a fumble and score, but if they give me the ball, I get to make the calls, right? So that's how we do it. I make my notes, 8:30 to 10 we call, right? If you don't have a bunch of policies, make you a list. There's no way that you don't know people that you can talk to about life insurance. Here's an awesome thing. When somebody calls in your office and wants to change mortgagees, guess what they just did? They just borrowed some more money. What's the number one reason people buy life insurance besides they love their family? They protect them from impending debt, right? Anytime I hear the girls doing that, I'll be like, oh, hey, who was that? Who was that? Right? And then you get right on it. Call them up, say, hey, I just heard that you called one of the girls and y'all changed the mortgagee. What about protecting that with a little life insurance? What do we do here? Right? So it doesn't, everything in there can be an information generator besides the fact that you need to be asking people. I have no shame. I will ask them if they love me. If they're not feeling it, I'll let it go. But if they love me and they're excited about their purchase, I'll just ask them, hey, does anybody else in your little circle need some of this right here? You see what I'm saying? They might want to give you a name. They might love somebody, their brother-in-law or something, and it really be to their advantage and not just yours. So we got to watch what we say. I'm gonna get back on track. I'm gonna end up talking. Hey, how long do I got to talk?
We got time.
We do? Well, give
Go
me
ahead.
a time limit or we'll miss lunch.
Well, it told me to extend this one. Normally we go till 11, but we've got another 25 minutes or so if you've got.
Okay, I'll compress it down to 10 minutes. I'll get back to my way of thinking. Okay. All right. So I want you to back to ignore your surroundings. Okay. That's one thing. And I listened to a deal this morning, a guy that was on Good Morning America, and I didn't catch his name. I got in on the end of it, and they were talking to him. He was an entrepreneur that had obviously become very, very successful, or he wouldn't have been on Good Morning America talking to these people about being successful. Does that make sense? His name's irrelevant. What he's done's irrelevant. We just know he has achieved a high goal. And they asked him, they said, hey, tell us about your journey getting here. And he goes, oh, I started 4 or 5 businesses, but they failed. And here about 18 months ago, I got on track and I took care of myself emotionally and I came first. And he said, here's what I found out. When I was being unsuccessful, it was always the economic environment around me, or I didn't have the right people in place, or we didn't have the right business model. He named off 7 other things. And you know what he said? When I fixed me, no other factor mattered in my success. He said, selling my product made my business successful. When I got busy selling, my business was successful. When I got busy selling. This is a marketing organization, folks. We get paid to sell. The outside factors do not matter. Winners find a way to win, right? What's going on around you cannot dictate what you're doing. And if you're making that excuse for yourself, you're costing yourself the opportunity to be successful. Somebody somewhere has worse circumstances and they're doing more, right? Because you have to ignore what goes on around you. The other night, Washington played Texas. If you stayed up to the bitter end, did you see the guy from, hey, game's over. 47 seconds left. Their running back gets landed on in the pile. They have to stop it because the guy gets hurt. Guess what ain't over no more? The game. They have to end up punting that thing down there. Some moron runs over the guy fielding the punt. Did y'all see it that Texas, with 20 seconds left, is on the 4-yard line or on the 12-yard line with 4 shots? Did y'all see that? They're getting ready to get their butt beat. And to no demise of what anybody from Washington did, other than the dumb kid that ran over the punt returner. They interview this DeBoer, who's from South Dakota, Millbank, South Dakota, just right west of y'all, and was the coach at Sioux Falls forever. And they said, Coach, What were you thinking when the game went from 1-0 down to being over to you were fixing to get beat? And he said, hey, I tell my kids every day, don't let negative thoughts enter your head. And he said, all of those factors that were going on around us, we could not control. The only thing we can control is the next play and the next play and the next play. He said that we can't do anything about our man getting hurt. Anyway, I thought that was very interesting when they showed his win losses from Sioux Falls State to where he is now and the situation he was in, that he actually runs the same offense as a little fat kid from Weatherford, Oklahoma. Okay? Don't let external forces dictate what play you're going to run. And here's why that having that 8:30 to 10 o'clock mandatory, I'm going to have a great day session is. Because if you come in here and start taking phone calls, guess what you're going to do? You're going to let the external factors dictate what you're doing. The things that are happening in your day are going to keep you from being successful. If you are a soldier, okay, and you want to be successful selling insurance, you have to come in here and you have to get started and do it, and don't let the outside. Now, they can take phone messages for me and I'll call them back at the conclusion of my marketing day. Does that make sense? I'm still a professional and provide solutions for people with problems, but I'm telling you, and when you get started off on the right foot, do you know how much better your day is? You're better at servicing policies and dealing with those people after you've made a sale. Does that make sense? Are y'all with me? All right. Yeah. Next thing, how do you do the hows? How do you do the hows? How do you do the hows? Here's the illustration for this. It comes out of that book, The Slight Edge. And his statement is, how you do the hows make the difference. There is 348 million people in the United States of America. 1/3 are considered obese. The other third are just plain old average fat. Okay, they're overweight. So 2/3 of the people would be considered overweight, with 1/3 of them being excessively overweight, 348 million. There's 12 million weight loss books sold every month in the United States of America. 12 months in a year, that's 144 million books are being sold. Yet 20 million people are overweight. How can that be? We have enough information. We know how to lose weight. The information's available in the overweight people's hands. How do they end up overweight? The information is not the solution. How to is not the answer. How you do the how to is the answer. Does that make sense? There's so many people that have the information. Y'all are having meetings, sharing information. You're wasting everybody's time. The problem is they won't do it. Okay. I got made a team captain in the first quarter of last year. I'm in charge of 12 insurance agents. We got to sell more insurance than the other 12 insurance agents for us to win the contest. My daddy used to be a DM. I know how to do this. I'm going to inspire man to be successful. I called every one of them. We had a group text. I'm telling you, Zig Ziglar had nothing on what I was doing. And what I found out after about 6 days, half these hands don't even want to do nothing. How can you inspire somebody to be successful when they don't even want the carrot that we got hanging out there? Okay, that's the biggest issue. We got to spend our time fixing our heart instead of piling up this information, because there's people that are in this business that want to be successful, but what happens is they're getting their bucket dipped out of so continually, there's not enough good stuff left to go do what makes you happy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, how you do the house, isn't that amazing? Got all this information, still got fat people. Okay. Ralph Waldo Emerson. It is the quote that defines the book of The Slight Edge. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Do the thing and you shall have the power." I'm going to spoil the ending to the book. You know what The Slight Edge is? To do. That guy writes for 348 pages, and his answer is the slight edge is action. Do the thing and you shall have the power. Do you know that everybody is usually successful at some level, but when they start becoming unsuccessful, they quit doing the thing that it took for them to be successful? Think about this. The power of compounding interest. If you don't understand it one way, you understand it the other. You've either like me and you got a bunch of money borrowed, or you're like John and you're really, really wealthy and you're getting returns. Okay. So John sees his mountain of money grow even on Saturday and Sunday. Why? Because that little compounding interest is inching away, inching away. It keeps moving, right? Do y'all ever seen that chart from American Funds that goes from 10,000 to $32 million or something? That mountain moves up. That's compounding interest. Okay. Just like when I go in and make my bank payments every year, guess what happened every day? Okay. They didn't take a day off down there at the bank. I don't know if y'all know that. They do it every day on that compounding interest. It's the little bitty things done every day. The little bitty things. What's the thing that you need to do every day? Make one phone call. John's got all them high-powered equations over a while ago. Let's make it easy. Come in, call somebody. What if you just call one person a day and ask them if you could help them with their insurance? What if it's life insurance? What if it's investment? Make one. Here's one thing you've got to realize. Success is gradual. So is failure. If you're on a diet and you've lost 40 pounds, you can go down there to McDonald's today for lunch and eat 3 double cheeseburgers. Will you gain 40 pounds? No. But if you do it every day, you'll gain your 40 pounds back plus some. The same way is true if you're on a diet. If I don't eat tomorrow, will I lose 40 pounds? No. But if I modify my diet and I am on that diet that I have created for myself for an extended period of time, what will happen? Eating is a mathematical equation. You decrease the calorie intake, increase the calorie outtake, what's going to happen to your body? Do you see the thing? Success is gradual, so is failure. It just takes one. You do the one thing that you need to do every day and you're dedicated to it. That's how you're successful. And I'm going to give you a little insight. I went 36 business days in a row and sold a life policy. Some days it took 3 phone calls. This little deal I showed y'all, if I can ask, are the 2 gentlemen's name Nick, both of them?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's safe. If I need to ask an indicative question, it's safe just to holler out Nick. Somebody will holler back, right? If I called Nick and said, hey, Nick, I know you've got a Tesla. It's bad to the bone. The payment's $2,100 a month. I can sell you a new Tesla and it's only $1,400 a month. And it's better. And it's guaranteed to last longer. Would you buy a new Tesla, Nick?
Yep.
Okay. It's the same philosophy on the other deal. If you ain't helping those people, then you're actually not doing your job. Okay. The life insurance goes back to list. It goes back to a time schedule. I'm going to come to the last thing because I'm only going to be 3 minutes over. My daddy, we used to go fishing at a little lake down here called Tom Steed Lake. Okay. Tom Steed's got a bunch of old rock quarries in it, and there is a water line that runs across it, and there's pump station houses. So you take your little boat. Oh, you Yankees, I got a tracker boat. You Yankees love a good tracker boat, don't you? Got the aluminum walleye fishing. Yeah, the Lund brothers. All right, so Lund brothers, professional walleye fishing. So we're down there, we go catfishing, and what happens is the week before Memorial Day is very traditionally when it happens, the gar come up in the rocks and they spawn. The channel cat come eat the gar eggs. So if you have a bait that they will eat, it needs to be very pungent, needs to be visible. You can catch you a limit of catfish, right? We're about 30 feet from another party that's down there fishing, some guys in some overalls, partial set of original teeth, having a big time. Me and Daddy are down there. There was a district manager named John Norman from Lawton, Oklahoma that loved fishing, and he was in Vietnam. He was a great, great man. And he had his own dough bait recipe. And if y'all don't know what dough bait is, you make this dough ball around your hook, and you ease it down there. And then I made it off this recipe, spent untold amount of money, and it's got a tear just right, the texture, and I turned in it's obsessive compulsive situation here with me and John Boy making this bait. We've been there about 3 hours. That bunch down there has caught about 2 or 3 limits of fish. We're down there with John Norman, Great American. His dope bait, you know, we don't smell like fish. We haven't touched a fish. We're 20 feet from these hands. Okay. I look up, I made the bait, so I got too much pride. Daddy don't care. He snuck down there. He's cuddled up to these boys with the other kind of bait. They got them a little bucket, looks like a paint bucket with the orange label on it, and it says Sure Shot punch bait on it. Okay. Well, he's down there asking them, hey, these guys got a business. They created this Sure Shot bait. What y'all fishing with? That's what Daddy said. What y'all fishing with? So he's buddied up to them, gets to using their bait, catches a fish. About that time they leave, he gets an extra bucket of bait from them, comes down there. We catch a limit of fish. We're out of there in 30 minutes. We're on our way home. My daddy looks at me and said, sure glad we found them. We's going to starve to death doing it your way. Okay. What's the moral to the story? If somebody is having success, you need to be like Daddy and not like me. What y'all fishing with? How do you do it? Tell me a new way, and don't have too much pride to change your way. And I'm not talking about sales tactics. I'm talking about protecting yourself emotionally, having a better day, being a better person, loving your family more. Okay? Because when you're having fun at work, all those things happen. And a byproduct of a good positive emotion is sales, isn't it? Okay. So what y'all fishing with is something that I actually say to myself when it's time to make a little change, right? In an effort to be as punctual as possible, boys, we'll call her quits right there.
We are farmers. Bum, ba, dum, bum, bum, bum.